Welcome to Labor's View. This show is brought to you by the very hardworking and dedicated employees of the Essex County Division of Welfare, the non-supervisory employees. I'm David WEINER, President of the Union and host of Labor's View. Our show tonight has to do with a demonstration that our union, the Public Employees Supervisors Union, which is the supervisor union in the Division of Welfare, and several other people from the community, some we knew and some we didn't, came out the other night to a Freeholder board meeting, and we talked about and protested the situation that has long been existing in the Division of Welfare of severe understaffing and now severe overcrowding daily of clients having to wait on the street in the elements. We're talking men, women, as I say in my speech, men, women, children, the disabled in wheelchairs, sitting in when it was cold in the winter and in the rain until they can get into the building. Then when they're in the building, they have to go up to their respective offices. If it's the right office, they sit, if they're lucky, and get a seat in the waiting room. Then that spills out into the hallway, which is a fire code violation. And then they go all the way into the exits of the building and like 2 or 3 flights sitting on the stairs for hours on end. Needless to say, it's a very untenable situation. And it's one that really has been created. And the irony is, and it's been created and was created by the New Jersey Division of Family Development, which is over all of the county welfare agencies in the state. And until, as I say in my speech, until April 3rd of this year, and today is the 22nd, I think, or 3rd, whatever, the director of the Division of Family Development was a woman named Jeanette Page Hawkins, who is, not her name, and under her watch, was implemented this horrible case banking that you're going to hear everybody talking about, where clients don't know who their workers are, the stuff gets lost, cases are backed up, and people are suffering. And even though they're poor people, as I said many times before on this show, the law, if it entitles people to public assistance, and they qualify for public assistance by having so little, then you have to provide it to them, and there are time frames you have to provide it to them. So we said enough is enough. We've been writing grievances and letters, all types of stuff, newspaper articles. Now we took it to the Freeholder board. The freeholders are the legislative branch of government, so they're supposed to be co-equals with the county executive. And that's why we went to them, because we're not getting anywhere with Joe D. I don't think he understands this. I know he doesn't understand the severity of this or doesn't want to. So we went to the freeholders, and it was a very interesting situation. As you'll see, there were not just members of our union and the Public Employees Supervisors Union, but there were people there from Newark Legal Services, People's Organization for Progress, which is Larry Ham's group, a very good progressive group, and a couple of people we don't even know, and we didn't know they were going to be there. One's a lawyer representing somebody on child support who can't get service from our agency because of the problems we have. And another was a woman with a nonprofit agency who I didn't know and don't know, and she said the same thing, that her people that she serviced can't get the services from her agency. So we all were there, we all basically were on the same page. The situation cannot go on the way it is. Not only is it inhumane, it's illegal, and it's dangerous. And you'll see it when we put it on now.
Thank you, Madam President.
I'm David WEINER, President of Local 1081 of the Communications Workers of America. We represent the non-supervisory employees of the Essex County Division of Welfare. I rise tonight to protest the insistence by the administration of Essex County Executive Joseph DiVincenzo and the state of New Jersey to continue the failed social experiment known as case banking within our agency. The food stamps and Medicaid caseloads have both increased about 150% since 2007, yet our staffing levels have remained the same as they were within the year 2000. Within a January 2015 Star Ledger article, I said, it's not been just the boost in the number of clients, it's the way the system has reacted to it. Yet, a state representative asserted last January, Essex is following its corrective action plan and improvements are underway. This was, and remains, a flagrant fabrication. The state's and the county's corrective action plan was to institute case banking,
which is a production line method of dealing with clients. Instead of a client knowing who the worker is, now they don't know who the worker is. They're bringing documents, they're lost, People are waiting online, hundreds and hundreds of people outside 18 Rector Street, inside Rector Street, in the hallways, up the staircases. Every day they're waiting there, men, women, and children, people that are disabled, in the rain, in the snow. It's inhumane. Our office alone, has 50,000 overdue Medicaid applications to be completed, 50,000. Our food stamp completion rate and timeliness is so bad that the federal government is, we believe, about to fine the state and our county millions of dollars. The stress of these conditions take a terrible toll upon our clients and our workers alike, where there are arguments and sometimes physical altercations. Our newly appointed director, as of April 3rd of this year, before April 6th, she was the director of the Division of Family Development. That's the agency that implemented case banking, and that's also the agency that has allowed this administration not to abide by its written agreements with the state, which it enters into annually through memorandum of understanding, saying that we have to have minimum staffing levels. Once in 12 years do we reach or exceed that minimum. Why has this human tragedy been allowed to fester for so long? Can it be because the largest percentage of our clients are poor people, mostly of color, whom many disdain for their personal plights and ignore because they are less likely to vote than the middle and upper classes of the county? Is this a modern-day Tuskegee experiment? And I don't say that lightly. Our locals made the following demands, and we reiterate them tonight with my 18 seconds. End the disastrous case banking system. Go back to one client, one worker. That's what works. End the long lines of clients waiting for hours to be interviewed and even longer to receive their services, many of them not receiving their benefits for months on end, which they're entitled to within 30 days according to the law. And finally, end the stress on employees and clients alike by hiring more employees and obtaining an additional site. One client, one worker. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wishing to come forward and speak at this time? Please come forward, state your name and affiliation. You'll have 3 minutes, monitored by the clock right here.
Thank you. My name is, am I on? Okay. My name is Rick Ford. I'm a member of the War Against Poverty Coalition. I'm speaking here tonight in solidarity with the welfare workers and clients who are here tonight protesting understaffing in the case banking system. I work at a legal services office. I've worked there for 30 years. I service clients who come to the office because they're desperately needed benefits like food stamps and emergency assistance. In some cases, these benefits are the only thing standing in the way of a person or family scraping by and avoiding destitution, hunger, and homelessness. I work out at the Newark Y every morning, or almost every morning. When I get there, there's very few people online. When I leave at between 7 and 7:30, that line is around the corner, around Rector Street and around Park Place, almost every day. I have never seen things in my 30 years working at legal services as bad as they are now for clients in Essex County, and also I've never seen the deplorable level of working conditions that Essex County welfare workers who try and serve these clients have to put up with. Lest we forget, as Mr. WEINER said, who are these clients? These clients are victims of a system that has to have unemployment, that perpetuates it, and who are primarily people who live in urban areas like Newark, East Orange, Irvington, and Orange. As we know, the unemployment rate among black workers is consistently double the rate among white workers. It's also higher among Latino workers. This is an unemployment crisis, but it's also a crisis of services to address homelessness and hunger in Essex County. We all know there are tent cities off McCarter Highway, other places in Newark, where homeless residents, some of them employed, stay because they have nowhere else to go. We know that in this past worst winter that we've had in recent history, that people have slept outdoors. That's a fact. I've met some of them. We're dealing with a system of last resort for unemployed and low-wage workers in Essex County. But more and more, the system is set up to fail. For example, how do you take the caseload of 2 offices that handle TANF cases and combine them into one and have the same exact number of caseworkers serving double the cases? How do you do that? Especially when one of the main reasons for the transfer of these cases is that there's been an expansion of Medicaid There's been higher numbers of people applying for food stamps. Why? Because there's more poverty in the state, there's more poverty in Essex County. And you can't have people who are in need having to deal with this understaffing situation. Obamacare was supposed to expand Medicaid. It was supposed to make things better. The fact is exactly the opposite has happened. The state of New Jersey, it's my understanding, has loaned or given Essex County in excess of $22 million a number of years ago. It is my understanding the loan was requested that it not be paid back right away and that the period be extended and that there be a proviso that Essex County would maintain staffing levels for basic services like welfare offices. I asked the board a simple question. Do you know or can you find out where did that money go? I really don't understand what the rationale behind the case banking system is. Whatever it's supposed to accomplish in practice, it fails. It dehumanizes the relationships between clients and caseworkers alike by taking away the one client, one worker model. And it's just one more example of a process that's been taking place over the past 45 years from a social services-based system to a punitive anti-client system that we have now. Finally, to conclude, what is remarkable is that you haven't seen more instances of client frustration exploding into an incident. In the words of Langston Hughes, a dream deferred does not die, it explodes. It's your responsibility, members of the Board of Freeholders, to deal with these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please step forward, state your name and affiliation for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, monitored by the clock here.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening, Freeholders. My name is Marion Bay, and I work as a job developer for the city of Newark, and I'm here this evening to talk about case banking. And I have to be very honest with you, I didn't know what the term of case banking was until yesterday. And the reason why I'm concerned about it is because the majority of the clients that I deal with are from the city of Newark and East Orange. They are on welfare, they are receiving TANF, and they do not have a regular case manager. And that is causing problems for us at the city of Newark because our clients, when they're having problems, they do not know what they should do because it's case banking. And it's very frustrating to me as their counselor and also very frustrating to our clients because they're going from one case manager to another case manager and they're not getting their services. So what we are doing is depriving clients of services. And I just want to tell you of a personal case that I've had. I had a client last year who did everything that we asked him to do. He had just gotten released from prison, and in getting released from prison, you know, you have to have certain documents and everything. Okay, he didn't have the documents. We helped him to get those documents, and since we were so slow because of the case banking, he is now back in prison. So that's something that we done because he was not able to get the services that he was entitled to. And in addition to that, since he was homeless, he didn't have any place to go. He slept in our hospitals because it took almost 10 hours or so for the hospitals to see him. So since he knew that, he would just stay in the hospitals. But as a result of us depriving them of services, he is now in prison. So in terms of the homelessness, I really want to talk about the fall of our market because in 2007, 2008, as a result of the market failure, so many of our residents in America became homeless. And as a result of that, they needed food stamps, extra services that we're not giving them. So I'm here this evening to support the brothers and sisters who are here who are working with our clients, because in supporting them, they are also supporting our clients. So I'm asking you to really look into this issue of case banking. You know, you are our leaders, and we need you to act like that. This is hurting your constituencies. So if you really take this very serious, as we should, please, let's look into this area of case banking. Thank you.
Please stay forward, state your name and affiliation for the record.
Christina Cry, CWA. Christina Cry, CWA 1081. I want to explain to you, on the way to work, I was a victim of a crime, and I personally believe it's because the people are desperate. They put a gun to my head and smashed my face in for $80. This is a problem. These people are hungry, they're homeless, and they're taking it out on regular people that go to work because they're angry that the system failed them. If you don't change it, we're just going to run into a bigger crisis, and it's going to be more detrimental to the people traveling to work and traveling home. We have cars, we have food, and they look at us as the enemy because we can't help them. Our hands are tied. If you don't allow us to help them and change this, we're going to run into nothing but problems. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Please come forward, state your name and affiliation for the record.
My name is Bernard Hamilton. I'm a financial and tax professional. Recently, a couple of my clients have come to me with regards to the tax issue with regards to SSH. There may be some subsidiary agencies that are reporting their services and grants as income. These are not income. These are supportive grant programs that should not be taxed or reported or submitted as income. And so it's causing additional issues as the comments from the other people that spoke before me earlier. So it's starting to compound. In addition to that, the child support agency in Essex County is not responsive. They ask you for your personal information, they ask you for your address, date of birth, last four digits of your social security number, your case address. However, they call you back in a private and non-attainable phone number. I can understand that there's a minimal level of resources, but I feel that there's a major disconnect between the county and providing the service for those who want to support their children. This is only happening in Essex County. I think we need to pay direct attention to that and make sure that we get the information that is needed and have a connection with the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward, state your name and affiliation for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, monitored by the clock right there.
Yes, my name is Tommy Farmer. I'm a family service worker for Essex County Division of Welfare. I'm just coming up to take this time to thank Freeholder Richardson for taking the time to come down to 18 Rector Street, look at the conditions that we're talking about, go through the metal detectors just like the clients did, and experience what we're experiencing. So I'm just coming up to thank him for coming down. That's it.
Thank you. Please come forward, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak, monitored by the clock right there.
My name is Barbara Russo Salsinas. I'm an employee of Essex County Department of Citizen Services, 18 Rector Street. I probably won't even be 3 minutes. I just have one question. How would you like to have to deal with a different person every single time you had to take care of business? I've had to do it, and I don't like it. I don't think our clients do.
Please state your name and affiliation.
Hi, my name is Ingrid Hill. I'm a member of the People's Organization for Progress, and I'm also a concerned citizen. I think we really need to think about the kind of community that we are building. I think we need to think about the individuals that are not being serviced as they are entitled to. When we talk about case banking, we're also talking about people who have the least amount of connection with different kinds of situations. We're talking about individuals whose lives are destabilized, and then we support it by destabilizing them even further. I think one of the things, we always talk about monies, but we need to really think about in terms of how our monies are spent and what are the priorities. So we're here to support the staff as well as we're concerned about the citizens, because the reality is, as long as we don't improve the conditions for them, none of us are safe.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public wishing to speak at this time on any issue at all? Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record. All right. Come on and speak. We have 3 minutes monitored by the clock right there.
Okay, very good. I'm Carol Perkins. I'm the president of Public Employees Supervisors Union. I'm also the manager of the Westside Citizen Service Center that runs the TANF offices. On December 15th, we were bombarded by the 7th floor clients, coming down approximately 7,000. We had lines going from our 3rd floor all the way up to the 6th floor daily. We did not have space in our waiting rooms to keep the clients. We then had to shift them into 2, 3, 4, and almost 5 waiting rooms daily. I'm talking daily. We had to have our workers take clients to these floors. We had to shift clerks to these floors. The embarrassment. I've worked for welfare for 40 years. I have never been so embarrassed of what has gone on since December 15th. It's embarrassing to have to treat clients in that way. In order not to get their benefits timely, before our office used to get benefits, you got them within 2 or 3 days. If you had all your documents there. If you didn't, you got to me on the phone. They can't get to me on the phone now. All the phones are now transferred into me. I have 100 phone calls a day. I can't answer all those phone calls. Then you pick up the phone system that they have disconnects. Your client is then gone. You hear air. The phone system that they put in does not work. The clients feel that we're hanging up on them. So half the time you don't answer them. You pick up, you take the message, and you send the message off to someone else. This is an embarrassment, really, for the County of Essex to treat clients this way. So I hope, after listening to me and Mr. Ford, who I deal with practically daily, on issues that are with his clients and with our clients, I hope that you will do something about this. It's really a shame and an embarrassment for the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we take you to the Freeholder Board members' response to our presentations, I'll explain a little bit more what case banking is, because it's kind of a nebulous term. Basically what happened is clients forever had, as long as welfare's existed, have had the actual workers that they knew. They were assigned to a specific worker, and that was their worker. Now, this, as I say in my speech, or said, it's an assembly line, and it's really a technological term, because everything is supposed to be moving towards online and away from paper. So you bank it in the storage facility, and you bank it so that people can access it online without having to go and get physical paper. That's what case banking. It's a production line method. Instead of having a worker for a client, the client doesn't have a worker. So they can see me today, somebody else tomorrow, and that's where the problems come in, because there's no continuity of service to the clients. And that's why we have, in great part, plus staffing shortages, the lines of clients that we have.
Thank you, first of all, for having the courage to come to the microphone and state your position and your opinion about, what is going on and standing up for what it is that you believe. I always have respect for that. As is our practice, we will respond in writing to those very specific questions that were asked. Within 7 days, you will receive a letter. But I will say that from the very beginning that I've had the opportunity to step into my freeholder role and then also be the freeholder president, I share the same concerns that you do, and that concern is the population of the low to moderate income, the people who are suffering and the people who cannot speak for themselves, the people who are, as some would say, arguably at the lowest points in their life, in which they're looking for a hand up, not a hand out, and they need a little bit of assistance. And we are, I am in this role now for just a few months, and about a month and a half ago, we had Jeanette Page Hawkins begin. And there are some things, and there are going to be some changes, but I do need you to bear with me, because change takes time. And as nobody more in this room, believe it or not, wants to snap their finger more than me and make everything and make this world a better place, and especially for that population, because I too, outside of what I do here, have worked with that population very close in the County of Union. So, you know, it takes time, all right? And I thank everybody for coming out. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make? Freeholder Wayne Richardson.
So I did come down, and I was happy that I did to actually, you know, all the things that you talked about here this evening, I got a chance to actually witness the deplorable lines and the folks just out the door and all over the place, not being serviced. So my question to you guys is, what is the solution? All right, we understand what the issues are, what the problem is. Do you have some solutions? And if so, I'd like for you to give us those solutions, or let's sit down, bring all the parties together, have a conversation about the solution. How do we make it better? How can we be helpful? How do we help you?
No.
Okay.
Not right now.
Not now. I'm just. So I'm going to give it back over to you, David. Through the chair.
Well, I would like to give the freeholders, any other freeholders that would like to say something, but I share that sentiment with my colleague. That was actually one of my notes today, which is, what is your suggestion? When I did used to work with the welfare population, and they would come in very frustrated, sometimes in tears, I would always say to them, you're right, but now tell me how to solve the issue. And sometimes it wasn't necessarily the system, it would just be about any issue at all. And that is always the thing. Yes, there's issues, but now what's the solution? So I welcome that dialogue and that roundtable to really truly work together to find the solution. Freeholders, any other questions or comments? Freeholder Toro.
I'd just like to say that I appreciate all of your personal stories. It's important for me to hear it directly from you, you know, your personal experiences. I do chair the Workforce Committee, and I've had meetings on these same topics and issues, and I have meetings scheduled. And we recently, as the President stated, have a new person in that position making changes. So she's been there probably 2 months, and I've given her that time to really go in and make the changes to then report. And now is the time that I'm going to follow up and see what has been done, what needs to be done, and where we can improve. So I also welcome your opinions, your beliefs in the process, and I will work hard to make sure, as a social worker, that clients do get the best service possible here in Essex County.
Thank you for joining us on Labor's View. I'm David WEINER, President of Local 1081, and your host, and we'll see you on future shows.